Hey there, today's story is about resilience, self worth, and the silent strength of a woman navigating emotional neglect. If you enjoy it, please hit the thumbs up and support the channel by subscribing. Let's dive in.
Meet Nellie, a gentle, kind woman who dreams of building a happy family. She is resilient but quietly suffering under her husband's emotional neglect. And Richard, Nellie's husband, who is charming, charismatic, and adored by the community. He appears generous and kind to others but is indifferent toward his wife's needs and happiness. The community admire Richard, viewing him as a hero, while remaining unaware of the sorrow Nellie hides. Nellie and Richard's story starts like a fairy tale. Richard is charming and the life of every gathering, admired for his intelligence, kindness, and charisma. His community sees him as an exceptional man, always willing to lend a hand, solve problems, and support others. Nellie is drawn to this side of him and falls in love, expecting that his warmth will be just as powerful at home. However, soon after they marry, Nellie realizes that Richard's warmth is reserved for his public life. At home, he is distant, critical, and dismissive of her feelings, though he maintains his hero status outside. He ignores her needs and often expects her to care for everything on her own. Nellie is overjoyed to find out she's expecting, believing that the baby will bring them closer and melt Richard's indifference. Yet, even as she navigates morning sickness and doctor's appointments alone, Richard remains absent. He frequently misses her appointments, often claiming he has other important commitments to tend to, usually involving helping others outside their home. As she grows bigger and needs his emotional support, Richard's behavior becomes even more confusing. He begins praising other women in his social circle, complimenting their strength, beauty, or intelligence, while rarely offering Nellie a kind word. If she seeks his attention, he belittles her, reminding her of how lucky she is to be married to someone as respected as him. When the day of delivery arrives, Richard is again busy. Nellie endures the pain alone, holding on to the hope that seeing his child will soften Richard's heart. But even after the birth, his behavior doesn't change. He visits occasionally, never holding the baby for long or helping with any of the sleepless nights and difficult adjustments. When he does show up, it's often just to talk about his latest accomplishments or the praise he's received from others. He never asks how Nellie is doing, physically or emotionally. As the months go on, Nellie becomes a shadow of her former self. She's emotionally and physically exhausted, yet still tries to fulfill her duties at home. Richard continues to ignore her needs, focusing instead on building his reputation as a helpful, selfless figure in the community. When they attend social events, he talks proudly about how much he does for others, painting himself as a devoted husband and father. Nellie is forced to put on a smile, keeping up appearances, while her heart silently breaks. One evening, Nellie attends a community event where Richard, once again, is being celebrated. As he speaks passionately about the importance of family and love, the disconnect between his words and actions strikes her deeply. She feels a surge of pain but also a newfound sense of clarity. She realizes that Richard's love and attention will always be focused on his public image rather than his family. It is a painful realization, but it marks a turning point. Returning home that night, Nellie begins to reclaim her power. She decides to rebuild her life on her terms, focusing on creating a loving environment for her child, and no longer relying on Richard for the validation she once craved. She starts to pursue her own dreams, connecting with other women who have been through similar struggles. Slowly, she gains strength and independence, finding joy in her child and in the life she's shaping for herself. Richard, noticing the change in Nellie and growing frustrated that she no longer adores him unconditionally. Yet, Nellie no longer needs his approval or attention. She has realized that true happiness cannot come from someone unwilling to give love freely, and her inner strength becomes the foundation for her future. Although Richard continues to live in his fantasy of being a hero, the real hero of the story becomes Nellie. Quiet, resilient, and finally at peace.